One of the questions that I get from you guys all the time is, Jordan, how do I price my services for my marketing agency? Well, in today's video, we're gonna go through a bunch of the pricing strategies and tips that you're gonna wanna be aware of for each different service for your marketing agency. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, here we go. All right, welcome back everybody. My name is Jordan Steen, also known as Serial Entrepreneur. And at this channel, we talk all about starting a marketing agency, building a personal brand, or really just building any kind of online business. So if you're interested in any of those topics, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell in the bottom right-hand corner so that way you get all of our updates, free trainings, giveaways that we do here at my channel every single week. Now, pricing your services can be super challenging, and this is something that is very important to do because it tells whether or not your business is actually gonna make it or not. And especially if you don't have any experience, this can become even more challenging. So that's why in today's video, I wanted to go through the guidelines for social media marketing, email marketing, website design and development, pay-per-click marketing, and search engine optimization. And we'll even talk about creating content for your clients or any potential business that you might be working with and how you're gonna wanna go about pricing those services. Oh, and make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video where I'm gonna give you one thing that you're going to want to know about pricing your services that I swear by that a lot of people try to avoid, but I promise you it's the best way to build campaigns and pricing packages for your clients, and it's something that you're going to want to know. Now, it's important when putting together your pricing strategy to understand a couple of things. The amount of time it's going to take you to complete a job, also your value, right? And who you're going to be hiring or outsourcing work to, what their value is, right? Because those two things really determine what you need to charge so that way you make a profit, right? You need to make more than you're spending on the completion of the service than you are actually bringing in from your client, right? They need to be paying you more than what you're spending on that service to complete it. And so that's something you guys need to start looking into. Really, you need to look at things on an hourly basis. How much does this service cost per hour, and what will it take for us to get it completed? And a lot of the times what happens is most businesses go in and they undersell themselves, and then they start doing a lot of extra work that they didn't agree to, and what ends up happening is you're spending way more time working on one little project than you should be. All right, and so that's what you guys need to start to understand is instead of looking at it as we're gonna do this many posts, look at how much time it's gonna take you to complete all of those jobs, and then what you're going to have to pay someone or what your time is worth to be able to get those jobs done. So what I would recommend for someone newer or even someone not newer is to put together some base price tiers or packages that basically say at this range we're going to do this much work, or at this next range we'll do this much work, right? And what I always recommend is starting off with a minimum of about $1,000 to $1,500, going up to about $10,000 to start, right? Because most of you aren't gonna take on the $50,000 a month clients just yet. And I wouldn't recommend doing it yet if you're brand new either. So put together your base packages from about $1,500 to about $10,000 and what those would look like. Now, the cool thing is if you're working in a specific niche or 2 or 3 niches, then the cool thing is most of the time you're gonna be performing the same services for the same style of business. And the reason being is because once you figure out a method, it's going to work again and again and again for different businesses in that same niche. So quick question, do you guys offer pricing tiers or do you actually offer packages to your clients? I'd like to see what you guys are offering, so just leave that in a comment below. Now, personally, I recommend doing at least a little bit of social media management in every package or campaign that you put together for a client. A lot of the time, especially with local businesses, it's going to be for remarketing purposes, right? Running remarketing style ads to people who have visited the website, because cold traffic is a lot harder to generate for small businesses with limited budgets and limited ad budgets. So I recommend looking at doing at least a little bit of remarketing for businesses on social media, and if they can afford to do more, then do some of their management and posting and community engagement as well. So really you're just going to look at having them spend at the very minimum $500 for you to manage 1 to 2 accounts. One big account like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, something like that, and And then the other account would be, Twitter or something smaller, LinkedIn, something that they aren't doing as much focus on, but they're still wanting a presence to build there in the future. And then as they up their budget, you can start to add in more services for each of their primary platforms. But ideally, to manage 2 or 3 platforms, let's say it's Facebook, Instagram, and maybe, LinkedIn, you're wanting to get about $1,000 to $1,500 at the minimum to do the wide range of services where you're posting on each platform maybe once, not even necessarily once per day, but at least 4 to 5 times per week, and you're doing some remarketing on their ad spend platforms. And in case you didn't know, building the proposal is part of putting together the pricing strategy, because that's where you start to put together the price to go in and pitch that business owner. So if you aren't familiar with the proposal side of things and how you should actually go about building those, then check out this video in the top right hand corner. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is with ad spend. And ad spend is something that you're actually going to add on top of your management fee for social, right? So if you're managing their social campaigns, that's fine. If you're spending on ads, you need to charge them a separate fee. And this is essentially how I work it out. If they're spending less than $3,000, then I will give them a $500 to $750 management fee. That's it, flat rate management fee. Above $3,000, I will charge them anywhere from 20 to 30% of their ad spend. That way it makes it a little bit more affordable for clients who are on the lower end, but also you have to make money, right? And if a client wants to spend $500 on ads and that's all they have, that's fine. But to do 20 to 30% of a $500 spend is only $100, and that's still a lot of time that you're putting into creating the campaign. So not worth it, right? That's why we recommend a flat rate for the first $3,000, and then after that, you can switch to that 20 to 30% model. The third thing we're going to talk about is email marketing and automation. And this is also a really lucrative service if you do it the right way and if you run email marketing campaigns effectively. A lot of people think this is a irrelevant form of marketing, but if you do it the right way, it really is a super lucrative style of business and really a super lucrative style of marketing. So what I recommend here is if you're going to do email marketing, for most of you with local small business clients, you don't really need to worry about this too much. Newsletters, all of that isn't super effective. But if you do have medium-sized businesses or online businesses that you're working with that could definitely use an email marketing campaign, then you're gonna wanna start by building automations. And I recommend starting with at least a $500 charge per month to manage and keep up with that automation, update it, make sure that you're making sure that people who unsubscribed get removed, and that you're updating tags and links inside the automations to make sure that it improves. Also, because you're gonna be managing the lists and segmenting contacts inside of those lists, so you're gonna wanna make sure you charge at least $500 for the basic automation. Now, when you get into super complex automations for email and you're driving several thousands of subscribers per month, or essentially leads per month, then you need to be charging what it's worth. And so for something where you're generating, I would say look at it at a cost per lead basis, right? What does the average lead generate them in sales? How much does that average lead typically cost online via email marketing? And then what you can do is you can kind of set your pricing based off of that, or you can do a flat rate. We build an email automation funnel that we do this much management, this much segmentation, we do this many lists that we build new each month, and we'll update this, we'll manage this many contacts for a minimum of $5,000 per month, right? So it's kind of up to you. You need to look at each service and say, okay, how much time is it gonna take us to manage that automation, to segment, to do tagging, link building, and optimization for that email campaign each month? And at the very minimum, you should charge, whatever your hourly rate is times the amount of maintenance. But also take into consideration, if this is an evergreen automation, it's gonna continually generate leads, right? So you want to make sure that it's set up in a way where you're continually being paid your value from the amount of leads that you're generating for them. The fourth thing we want to talk about is basic SEO services, because we're looking at minimums for this video, right? And so what I recommend is at least a minimum of $500 per month. And this could be to optimize their site, blog content, do keyword research, and the very minimum of what's required. Now, the more content you add into the creation process each month, the more pages that you're optimizing each month should be incorporated into the cost factor. The minimum, though, should be about $500 per month to manage several pages each month. Also, there's other services out there that really work well for local businesses. Like, for example, we recommend in my course, Vendasta. And Vendasta is a service that costs $249, and you can easily turn around and charge clients around $250 to $300 per month month for that same service. And what the cool thing is with Vendasta's platform, you can put up to 1,000, I believe, new customers onto that one license, right? So you can have 1,000 people paying $250 for a product that you're only paying $250 for. Do you see where the money comes in? And so that's the thing. You have to look at what software services you're going to use, if you're going to use any, how you're going to resell those, and if you're not going to use those software services, what specific on-site or off-site SEO marketing services are you performing that you're going to be charging for? The next service we're going to talk about is pay per click, and that's with Google AdWords. And this one is super simple. Like Facebook ads and social marketing, I recommend doing a minimum of a $500 management fee. And I also recommend, if you're going to work with businesses, that they spend no less than $1,000 on a pay-per-click campaign on Google. It is a very competitive market and it is more expensive than Facebook. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. A minimum of $1,000. And again, the same rules that we use on social ad spends apply to pay-per-click. We're going to do $500 up to $3,000 in ad spend. And then from there, we're going to charge a 20 to 30% management fee on the total ad spend. Finally is web development, and this is one of the hardest services to price for, because you could have a 4-page basic site to an 8-page basic site, or you could have a site like mine, Serial Entrepreneur, where we have over 300 pages, because we have a ton of blog content and other pages that kind of relate back to our site. So to say that it would just be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 would be a little ignorant. What I am going to tell you is this: one of the best ways to get a good price for a new person in web development, because now I can look at a project and kind of gauge about how much we should charge just by knowing the industry and how websites work. For someone new, what I recommend doing is going onto something like Lucidchart and building a workflow, or really a skeleton of your website. Basically just draw out what your website is going to look like, all of the pages, all of the navigation, how many tabs you want in each, right? And then what you can do is you can take that to a developer and give them your budget and say, look, I'm not trying to spend any more than this on this website. Do you think this is a project that you can manage? Then they will give you a yes or no, and why or why not. And then you can really start to figure out, well, why wouldn't they give you that rate? Why would they give you that rate? Should you have done, asked for a cheaper rate? And then what you can do is you shop around. That's what, new people, you just have to learn to shop around, really, and to figure out what people are charging for specific services. Also, to be able to look at portfolios for those web developers and say, yes, that's a good site, versus obviously, no, that's not a good site. I would never pay you $5,000 for that. Now, personally, I don't manage web development. Like, I'm not a web developer. So if you want an idea of a site project and what we did and how much our site cost, now, again, we already had a lot of this pre-developed. All they had to do was migrate a lot of it. But we migrated our site and did a complete redesign of our site and added in a few extra pages. But if you want, look at the Serial Entrepreneur website. We spent about $2,000 developing that site, which is a site that you could easily take and turn around to another customer of yours. And if you include the Kajabi backend, that would be a $15,000 site. But if you just look at the front end WordPress site that you guys see at serialentrepreneur.academy, that site alone we would have charged about $5,000 to $8,000 for, due to the fact that we have all kinds of different content, tons of blog articles, different pages that interlink together. It has a fresh design, tons of video incorporated that we, use to build the authority of the website. And really, it's just a great looking site, very high performing site. And so we would charge anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 for something like that. And we only spent $2,000. So you guys see, we actually charged about 1.5 times as much to 2 times as much as what we spent on that project. And another note is we developed it through developers in India. So we got it at about $8 to $10 per hour on development. And that's a very competitive price range. $8 to $10 per hour from someone in India is what you can expect from a decent, experienced developer in India. The last few things we're going to talk about are landing pages and lead magnets, which if you guys have heard of ClickFunnels, you've definitely heard of landing pages. And what I recommend, guys, is charging at least $500 upwards of $50,000 on these lead magnets. And again, it takes an understanding of what kind of lead magnet are we creating? Is this a one-page, simple, one image, call to action, go to the next page, thank you type of landing page? If so, that one's probably around $500 to maybe $1,500 at the very most, depending on the industry you're working in. But if you do a full-on webinar with 4 different processes in, it does tracking and it does all kinds of integrations with email remarketing and stuff like that, that's a different kind of landing page with a whole different type of objective and feel. And you'll want to make sure you're getting your value's worth. That's why people who actually come out of ClickFunnels' little training academy, they're charging $10,000 to $50,000 per month just for one funnel for some clients. So if it is effective, if it is something that looks good and it takes a while to develop and you're doing custom design versus just templated block builders, then you'll want to charge more. So that's again where you're gonna want to look into the development side of things, paying a developer to develop that landing page for you, but also taking into consideration how much value you're able to generate for that business. How many new leads or sales did you bring in, or can you potentially bring in for that client, and then translate that into value on your end. What about content creation, right? Because we all are looking at blogs and videos and stuff like that. Well, content creation is also very different. What I recommend here is looking at prices on competitive blog writers and designers, graphic designers, because you have a blog writer who writes the blog, but then you also have graphic designers who create the creative elements that go inside of a blog, right? Outside of that, what do you have? Video. Well, what you'll want to look at here is your videographer. How much does a videographer cost? Which is anywhere from $30 to $150, depending on where you live, the experience level of that videographer. But also you have to look at the video editing, which you can easily hire someone for around $10 to $15 overseas on a platform like Upwork. And so it makes it super affordable for you to be able to get these jobs done. Why? Because you know exactly where these people are at, you know how much they're gonna charge, and it makes it easy for you to price your services because you know what you're spending on each job. But that's it for today's video, guys. If you want to see more on pricing marketing services, all you have to do is go right below this video in the description. We've left a link to our blog where everything we covered in today's video will be there, plus tons more information because we don't want to make this a 45-minute video. But if you want more information about pricing and all of that, make sure you check out the blog over at serialentrepreneur.academy. But since you guys stayed till the end, I'm going to give you my super secret tip, and it's not really secret if you're in one of my courses, but because we talk about it in there. But my strategy to pricing is, and the secret really is the fact that it's different for every customer. We don't look at a customer, we don't go into a customer and say, this customer is going to be the $1,500 package. We go in and we say, Mr. Customer, what are your goals for your business? What are you trying to do? Do you want one more customer, 3 new customers, 20 new customers? What is it that you want to do? Do you want to just drive more traffic, build awareness about your business in the area because nobody knows you're there yet, right? What is your goal for your campaign? And then once we understand that, we take a look at the business, the competitors and what they're doing, what's currently working. We take into consideration what type of business they are. Are they local? Are they regional, national, right? And then once we understand all of that, then we go back and we look at the services that we have in our, in our armory, basically, and we say, what can we take from those services to provide a campaign that's going to benefit them, but also that is something that's within the price range that we kind of came up with in the first initial meeting we had with them, right? Because in that first meeting, you're asking questions like, well, what's your marketing budget been like in the past? What have you done in the past? Did it work, right? And that's going to tell you about how much they're spending. Then you take that and you start to use it to gauge basically what type of campaign you're going to start them off with. And then you put together 3 different pricing packages basically for them with a middle tier, a higher tier, and a lower tier. So that way it's hard for them to say no to a package because it can't be too expensive, it can't be too cheap, right? You have one that's either right there in the middle, or it's just affordable enough, or it's perfect and that's what they were wanting to see. And that's why I always start with the higher end package first to see if that's going to be the one that they're looking for. Now guys, we've done tons of other videos on pricing services, and there's tons of other information that you might want to know. So if you want to check out those videos, all you have to do is, like I'm showing you right here in this video, just go over to my YouTube channel, click on that little search icon, and then type in pricing, and it will show you all of the pricing videos that we've put together on my channel. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about pricing, or if any of this doesn't make sense, make sure to leave them in the comments below this video. But I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure you subscribe. Until next time, Serial Entrepreneur out. Bye, guys. Ready to start living the 6-figure work wherever, be your own boss lifestyle? Well, at Serial Entrepreneur Academy, we'll teach you how to use a laptop and internet to start your own social media and digital marketing agency. Get started with our free Facebook ads training. Links in the description below, guys. See you in the course. Serial Entrepreneur out.